Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Scott Mizek, Senior Technical Specialist at ATG. Today's topic is going to be the Sim Manager Suite. We are going to look at the template tracker. The main goal of this webinar is to explore the benefits of the Sim Manager Suite to help streamline the setup process for your template building. Not only template building, but also possibly looking at drawings that come in from another source and getting them up to your standards. The topics we're going to cover today are going to be layers, textiles, dimension styles, multi-leaders, and how they can be affected or adjusted using the template tracker. So the problem, your template is bogged down with unnecessary data like layers, textiles, dimension styles, and such, and you're unable to delete them or remove them because it's being referenced by something. We've all gone through that situation of, hey, I'm trying to delete this layer, but it won't let me. So the solution is with Template Tracker. You'll be able to locate where these styles are utilized and will assist in removing them from your template or moving those styles to a different layer. So the Template Tracker easily track down the information. With layers, what it will do is if you click on a layer, it'll tell you what style is being used on that layer. So in this C-prop bearing, I see that there are 5 styles using this. I have the ability to click on one of those 5 and either swap out the layer, put on a new layer, edit the style layer, so I can come in and force it to go into a different layer, or I can actually just purge out those styles. So again, ability to swap, edit, or purge out that style using layers. With textiles, we're going to see this. We have the ability to see what textile is being used. So the standard textile is being used in all this location. I have the ability to swap out those textiles. And this is something that can come into play when you're dealing with a drawing from an outside source, or now you're migrating or you're updating your template because you want to go to a true type font. Maybe we are using Bluebeam Review and we want to be able to use the search functionality within that software. Well, for that to work, we need a true type font. So now getting rid of the simplex and replacing it with an Arial will allow me to use that functionality within Bluebeam Review. So I'll be able to come in and see the standard and then potentially just swap out all of these for a new textile. Flop out these styles that will allow me to consolidate. Maybe my drawing has 57 different textiles in there because someone keeps adding one and adding one. Well, in essence, you really only need about 4, maybe 5. Typically, you can go down to Arial, 0.06 text height, 0.08, 0.1, and 0.125. So there's 4 right there. Maybe you do a 0.18, 0.25. But going down to 1 textile just makes your drawing look a little more consistent. And by making it annotative, I can get rid of a bunch of those other textiles. Oh, look, I have Arial at 0.1, Arial at 0.125, but because it's not annotative, now I have to come in and modify that text height over and over and over again. So by creating those 4 new textiles, I can then come in here and actually flop out or replace one textile with another. Dimension and multi-leader styles, what this will do is it will show you where this dimension or multi-leader style is at, and I'll give you the quick ability to replace it. So instead of picking on 5 linear dimension lines and saying replace all with the standard text style or dimension style, maybe I want to be able to just replace 3 of them. So I can select the 3 in the reference side and then just replace those 3, leaving the other 2, because maybe 2 of them were correct. So let's go ahead and actually jump inside the software. And I am inside the software, and I'm going to go to my Sim Manager Suite. And I'm going to go ahead and look at Template Tracker. First thing I see by default is layers, but we'll go ahead and look at the top. Refresh, options, help. If you ever have help, it's there. There is a video out on YouTube that this will take you directly to it. If you have issues with the software crashing or something along that line, every time you run this tool, you can actually contact support. And then about will actually give me the ability to download the latest installers. So it's always nice that, hey, if I haven't done this in a month or 2 months, maybe I can go out to CTC's website to see if there is a newer version than 20.0.2, or I can just go ahead and say download the latest. But inside the layers, I want to come in and I want to look at Ciano. And first thing I'm doing here is I'm looking at starting with a new template, and I'm starting with the Imperial template. And I want to consolidate. I want to get rid of the Ciano layer, and I want to put it on a new layer called, say, new 1. So the first thing I do is Ciano has these 3 layers on there. So if I come into my layer manager and I go to Ciano and I try to say delete, I get that infamous warning right there. The following layer cannot be deleted. Layer 0 or def points. The current layer contains objects, X reference dependent layers. Well, we've already gone through well, it's obviously not layer 0 and it's not def point, so we can cross that one off the list. It's not the current layer because layer 0 is the current layer. And then layer containing objects. Well, I've gone in, I've isolated that layer and I said erase all, and it found 0 objects. And then there are no X references in this drawing. So these 4 suggestions don't work for me. Why doesn't it work? Or why can't I delete out that layer? And that is because of those 3 styles. So what I can do is I can come into Ciano, look at this object layer, general note, segment label, and sheet, and I can move all of those to a new layer called new 1. Now I have the ability to delete out that layer. If I go to C prop text, C prop text, right there I have the same capabilities of deleting out the layer, because now I have 5 on here. I can click, shift, swap out layers, and maybe put these on new 2. And then come into my layer manager, come down to C prop text, and delete layer, and it's now gone. Gives me that quick capability of finding what's on that layer in terms of styles, and then getting it moved to the proper layer that I want it on. Also inside the template tracker, again, is textiles. And we had a bunch of textiles on here, again, maybe 55, 60 on there, because people are using weird textiles, and now it's time to consolidate. Again, we're looking at utilizing the functionality of Bluebeam Review with the search command and searching for text. Well, it can only find text that's the true type font. So if I look at my standard on here, and I'll actually come into my textiles, so annotate. And I see that standard is using Arial, but SHR is using a simplex, which is not a true type font. And 1 is using a non-true type font, 2, 3, and 4 are also using a non-true type font. So I need to get these textiles that are on 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I need to put them on Arial 0.06 text height, 0.08 text height, 0.1, and 0.12 text height. So manager suite, template tracker, textiles, and I'm going to look at 1, and look, all my alignment information is on layer 1, which is using that weird font. Well, I need to get all that stuff moved to a layer or to a style that is using a true type font. Simply select everything that I want to move it to, swap textiles, and put it on new 0.08. Now textile 01 can be removed, and I can say delete, and it's gone. 02 has some curve and line labels on there. Well, swap textiles, that goes to the 0.08, or maybe it's just because it's maybe a smaller entity, we'll put on the 0.06 text height. Say, okay, now I can remove that textile. This allows me to come through and clean up my information. Again, not only with it being true type font versus non-true type font, maybe we have a situation of this drawing came from an outside source. And I need to get everything consistent because they were using really artistic font types. And we need to get this consistent. So I can come in and I can look at any font type textile that is theirs, click on it and say, yep, let's replace all of that with this textile. Let's replace it with this textile. Yes, I could come into the annotation and just manually change it to be Arial 0.08. But what if they use that textile and they manually manipulated some of the text to be 0.08 to 0.1 to 0.12? I can come in looking at this saying that, oh, these are blocks for drainage and well, all blocks on here. I could move these to be always 0.08. But if I had some stuff that was for catchments, maybe that text height needs to be 0.1, so I need to put that on the 0.1, but my point labels needs to go on 0.08. This allows me to select what gets moved and put where, instead of just doing a mass edit of the textile and forcing everything to change. Now I can actually change it to be where I want it to be. Dimension styles, I can come in and look at the standard, and I can see that it's being used in a couple of these places right in here. It's on a linear dimension, 2, a radial dimension, a rotated dimension, and another rotated dimension. I can move these two, oops, control, and put it on a new dimension style. And you just saw that that went from 4 decimal places to 2 decimal places. I'll go ahead and swap out these two, and you'll see this 20 right here and this 40.9664 when I change it. Now went to just 2 decimal places. Maybe, like I did the first 2, maybe I did need 3 decimal places, but the next 2 I only needed 2. Allows me to select what I need to switch instead of just manually going into that dimension style and forcing it to be 2 decimal places or degrees, minutes, seconds for the angle. Just gives me that flexibility on there. And then finally, multi-leaders. We have the same thing. Hey, I have 3 multi-leaders in, well, 2 in here, but one's part of the current style. So I have a multi-leader called Fix Me. Well, that one needs to go on the new layer. Oop, and there is the Fix Me. Got a little bit big on there. So now I can come back in here, and maybe I need to move that back. Get it to be the right size. So the template tracker, not only does it help streamline your template building in terms of layers, text styles, dimension styles, multi-leader styles, but it's also a good tool to use when you are looking at drawings from an outside source. Someone brought it in and they use their own textiles. We need to flop those out because guess what? We don't have their font types in our library, so we always get the, hey, you're missing this SHX font. Or again, we need consistency because we're taking this to the client. The client says, no, it has to be this text and it has to be this height. I can come in and make those adjustments on there. Template tracker, again, layers, textiles, dimension, and multi-leader styles. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe.